Okay, it's saying I'm live, and I think my microphone's working. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hey, Twin Steel. I'm going to test on my phone as well. I did this last time. So if I say something, hello there, can you hear me? Yes, it's working great. Okay. Um, okay, so hello. Don't know how many people we got so far. A few. Oh, hey, MK. And the Cantini, if I said that right. Hello, I recognize you both. And Twin Steel, recognize all three of you from your avatars, from comments. I'll do a bit of housekeeping first of all. So, oh, thank you, Hunter Strong. So have I. I've been excited about this too. It's a bit of housekeeping first of all. So this is new microphone and new webcam. So hopefully it's better than the last time I did this back in October. I think there's a Q&A function, but I don't know how. Like last time I tested it, it didn't work very well. So just leave questions in the chat. It might be that there is only a chat and there is no Q&A, but leave questions in the chat. And then I suppose if there is a Q&A, feel free to test it. But if you do that, do leave a question in both. So at least I definitely see it in the chat. What I don't want is somebody leaving a question in the Q&A and I don't see it. What else? How do you feel us rock? I got a list here. So I started a membership recently. It's a bit like Patreon, but it's through YouTube. And apparently, I've never done this before, I can gift memberships. Now, I thought if people said, hey, I'd like one, I can gift it to specific people. But somebody told me recently it's only through mobile, and I'm doing this through desktop, so I don't know if I can get it to work anyway. And apparently, it's given to people at random, which is a shame because there might be some people who really want it and some who don't, and it goes to the wrong people. But that could be something we try later on. You get like a free month. You get a month for free, essentially. And then I guess it's up to you if you want to carry it on or not. And I'm going to start off with two questions people asked in advance because they couldn't make it. And then I'll open it up to, feel free to put in the chat your questions if you have any, or if you want to chat or you want to chat about. We will be covering the horrors within. If you saw the news, there's a new Ravenloft product coming out in June. So that's very exciting. So we can talk about that. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about? So I had a question from Anon5178 who said, what would you do differently if you were to run Curse of Strahd for a new group? Oh, I've been thinking about this one. Probably not much. I'll probably do it the way I did before, which was a lot of rules as written, but with bits of Mandy mod, bits of Dragna Carta Curse of Strahd Reloaded, bits of Lunch Break Heroes, and just see what happens this time. It might be that they get a different draw. It might be that they end up going to different places or different things happen. I don't think I did consider, just do like a full Curse of Strahd Reloaded run, but I don't know if I would do that. I do like the idea of, with the first iteration of Curse of Strahd Reloaded, I like taking bits that I liked. I don't know if with the second version, the more recent version, I get the impression that you gotta kind of run it as is and you can't really deviate. I don't know if I would do that. So, yeah, I'd probably do something like that, I guess. I hope that answers that question. I feel like I had more to say there, but there's not. I don't know if I do. I might come back to that if I do. And then this is an interesting one, and this is something I've been meaning to talk about actually. Somebody said this was Thomas DePoe 4888. What are the chances of you doing a live play series of Curse of Strahd with people you know? Would be interesting to see you actually DM. So I, for the longest time, have wanted to run a Ravenloft live play. I wouldn't do Curse of Strahd just because there's so many Curse of Strahd ones already, and lots of really good ones as well. But there aren't many dedicated Ravenloft ones. But what I could do is like Ravenloft that branches into, maybe they go to Barovia for a bit and maybe it plays out a bit like Curse of Strahd. So it can do like potential overlap with Curse of Strahd rather than it being other domains but not Barovia and not Strahd. It would be people I know. There's a few people I'd love to ask, but I don't know a huge amount of people. So who would be, I think, a good fit for it, who want to do it and things like that. So I know about 4 or 5 people, but if I ask all of them and then a few of them say no, then I haven't got enough. So I'm still trying to sort of find people who might be interested. Obviously, the challenge I've got is it probably makes sense for them to be UK based people. If I suppose, unless it was an American who didn't mind playing like in the daytime. We played in the evening, something like that, because of the time zones, time differences. But yeah, that's the plan. It is still on the agenda. I was thinking of doing a members only video. My members only videos, I've only done a few of them so far. They're more sort of behind the scenes stuff and me talking about the channel. And I was thinking of doing one where I just basically say, this is the reason why I haven't started it yet. These are the things I still need to get sorted. And players is one of them. Having the time as well. If I start this, I'll have less time to make videos for, DM of the Mists. So it's just about balancing it all, juggling it all. But it is definitely something I'd love to do. It's definitely on the agenda. It's a case of when, not if, but the when is not. A few months ago, I was like, oh, it'll happen soon. And now I do. I feel like I'd be saying, oh, it'll happen soon. And in a few months' time, I'll probably be saying that as well. So those are those two questions. I am actually not sure whether you are a big gamer, but you have a favorite D&D video game. I don't think I've played any of the D&D video games. I really want to play Baldur's Gate 3 because I've heard so many good things. I never played 1 and 2. On the gamer front, I played a lot of Skyrim. I actually played it recently for the first time in years, for a bit, like around Christmas. Um, Grew up with the Final Fantasy games. Don't really play much video games anymore. D&D and doing the videos has kind of replaced that, and it's obviously more productive and helpful for people than just playing video games where I'm just kind of doing it for me. Unless I used streamed them and did them on Twitch. I did do a bit of Skyrim on Twitch a few years ago, and one or two people dropped by. Trying to think what else. My favorite ever video game was on the Sega Dreamcast. It was called Skies of Arcadia. Sort of Sky Pirates. It was amazing. Still play that from time to time on a very old, knackered, struggling Dreamcast that sometimes switches itself off at random. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. But video games is mostly things like RPGs, things like that. And then with the kids, I play things like Mario Kart. We got a Switch and a Switch 2, so play things like Mario Kart and got Mario Kart World recently. Just do that kind of thing, and Mario Party games with them. You're hyped for New Species and New Dark Lord. Ooh, I don't think I've seen that. I've got a window open over here of the M World release. I basically, when the news got announced on Tuesday, I just scoured everywhere, and I read like 20 different news articles, even though they all said the same thing. But I've like since then not really sort of had much time to sort of dive in. So, oh, Lupin, it's Lupin, isn't it? So that be like lycanthrope, like werewolf, I imagine. That's something I was going to do a lineages video at one point. I might as well wait until this comes out. I was going to do it about the original lineages, and I was going to talk about extra ones. And I was surprised that then there wasn't like a lycanthrope, other than like getting lycanthropy as a PC. Those rules. I was surprised there wasn't like a lycanthrope lineage, especially when watching Black Dice Society. They had like 2 reborns and a Dampier, and one of them was it was like a lineage lycanthrope. Lupin. Lupine? Lupin is how it's spelled. So I've just started DMing and doing House of Lament to launch to Greater Ravenloft with Varan Honan's the big bad. Nice. I was curious, do we know anything about the escapee mentioned? I think that's let me bring up some information so I've got it referenced to me. I think the escapee refers to I thought it referred to Faran, and Faran doesn't realize it refers to Faran. Because Hunter Strong, I don't know if you know. I don't want to start talking about this. If you're running Ravenloft campaign, you probably wouldn't be concerned about spoilers, as this is stuff you're researching. But I'm guessing you know the whole link between Faran and Azalin. It's not spelled out in Van Richten's guide because I think they kind of keep it open so that if people want to do that, they can. But if people don't want to do that, they don't have to. They're not sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, railroaded, I guess, into doing it. Let me get at the information about Faran. Something just flashed up on my phone. Oh, I'm going to put Do Not Disturb on. But the escapee, I think, refers to because Azalin was. I know for yeah. So I think when Azalin escaped Darkon, maybe it refers to Azalin actually, but I always got the impression. Bear in mind, I haven't looked into this for a while, so sorry if I've got muddled. I think it was referred to as think essentially as Azalin was the escapee, or Azalin Faran, because they're kind of a package deal, aren't they? I guess to some extent. I think it was them. The thing I'm waiting on is taking a little while to load. I will. Oh, and the Clantini. Sorry, I was looking at Lupin, but didn't look at the new Dark Lord. That's something I'll have to look into later. There was talk that there was an image where people thought it was Ebonbane from the Shadowlands, and that's amazing because I'm running the Shadowlands at the moment for my players. Oh, the thing I'm trying to load has just crashed. Try again. Aha, here we go. So if I do... Aha, here we go. Fran keeps the basis for a strange theory secret, but his ambitions drive him to travel the domains, visit accursed sites and escapes. And a known figure known as the escapee. And I see that a V continues jumped in here. Is likely Azalin Rax. In the novel, Fran believes he killed his son. Yeah, that's how I'm playing it in my game. He thinks he knows that a lich killed his son, but he doesn't know who the lich is. He thinks it's Darkless Rax. And later it'll be revealed that, when Azalin returns and Fran and Darkless killed. I'll explain this in I think it's my Fran video and probably my future plans video. It explains that obviously Azalin was the one who killed his son because he executed him for rebelling. Anyway, yeah, I get the yes, agree with V Cantini there that the escapee I think refers to Azalin. It's that irony of he doesn't realize he's looking for himself or his other version. Like he's following this sort of ghost or this person who's disappeared and not knowing that he is the person or that essentially Azalin is. I hope that helps. MK, there are Ravenloft Curse of Strahd projects are things like BG3 or also Celeste, Crown of the Magister. So I was curious whether we might see your take on things like that at one point. Yeah, if I do get into BG3, I would be interested in trying things like that. So although I probably play on a console, and I understand that I think with Baldur's Gate 3, those kinds of projects are only work on a PC, maybe. But yeah, absolutely. I even just a good example of me trying to mine stuff to see if it could work out for videos is my kids play Minecraft, and there's the Minecraft Dungeons and Dragons games they did, and I even played through one of those just in case there was like a Strahd mention. It kind of alluded to other campaigns. I don't know if anyone would be bothered about spoilers, but they go to Candlekeep and the Demigorgons in it and things like that. But I was hoping for like a Strahd mention, but no. Although I didn't play the second one in the end. I think I just kind of read what was in it and it didn't say. Oh, it didn't say that it had any Ravenloft ties, but I might be wrong. But yeah, no, I am interested in sort of when there's a Curse of Strahd or Ravenloft potential module or add-on or that kind of thing in games like that. Going back to V Cantini, you DM similar House of Lament and then mini campaign as in the BBG, yeah. Have you ever considered making a video where we can actually see you DM a session? I'd love to see what your style at the table looks like. So yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, I don't know at what point you joined Green Day Cat. I have got plans to do a live play, an actual play. And I did mention this earlier. I'd probably start off with just a few one shots. So I thought about maybe doing Strahd Must Die tonight. I've never DM'd Death House. Shock horror, I know. So maybe like do Death House and do a few things like that, and then maybe do like an ongoing weekly or bi-weekly series. So yes, that would be this plan, is to do those first of all and see how those go and sort of build up a following and then do something more ongoing. Hello, Jimmy Jim 42, just stumbled on this. Do I have any thoughts on the new Strahd art they showcased? I love it. It's great. I'm going to bring it up on this screen. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I love it. It's a lot more horror than I love the previous art, from Curse of Strahd and from maybe less so from Van Richten's Guide, but it goes harder than both of those. It was a shame seeing some people thought it was AI, but I think that's, the artist has said who they are, and I'm getting pretty good at spotting what is and isn't AI these days. I don't know about you folks, but I mean, it looks like art to me, not like AI. So that was a shame that people jumped. I think it's getting to the point now where people are really struggling to say, they'll see something and be like, oh yeah, it's probably AI when it's not. But no, I like it. It's cool. And the other art, I can't remember where I saw it. The alt cover's cool as well. I didn't realize somebody said it looks like a Taroka card, which I didn't realize straight away. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah. I can't remember where I saw it. I really like the art of Ebonbane, or people think it's Ebonbane. It's this really cool, gnarly looking sword. So I'll see if I can dig that out and maybe share a link while I'm on the stream. The new Dark Lord is actually seen behind the pages on Strahd's story. It is found in the cover artist X page, theorized him being in the Domains of Dread. Happy to see it as canon now. Oh, I know who you mean. Yeah. I never know how to pronounce it. Is it Catholtu? You guys, if you see my videos, know that I'm terrible at pronouncing things at the best of times. Catholtu? Yes. I think I saw a lot of people be like, "Oh my gosh!" So that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I know. I'm on the Enwald thing, and it's got the thing where it shows the Strahd art inside the book, and then it shows Catholtu, and then shows some of the others. Yeah. I like I said, I'm gonna see if I can get if I type in let's get it might be in this Reddit post. Oh, unless there's a different Enwald. There's a different Enwald post where to check out this early release. Can I put this in chat? What happens? Is it going to explode? Let's open that. Yeah, it's got the Castle Ravenloft. I love the colors of the Castle Ravenloft art. Although one thing I realized was I think the perspective of where the village is and where the castle is, I'm not sure if it matches because of like, or maybe it's because I'm used to James's RPG's art where the overlook at the back of the castle, the village is there, but in this version the village is way over there. So I don't know. Maybe it is correct. There's some art, yeah. So the art in that image shows, and that looks like it could be a ghoul as well. And ghouls are in Ebonbane lore are uh, pretty important. And there's knights fighting what looks like demons or monsters in the background. It feels very Shadowlands. That'd be great. Like my players will probably end up fighting by the time we get through all the Shadowlands because they've only been a few sessions so far. It'll probably be about like June, July by the time they fight Ebonbane. So if that comes out, it'd be perfect. I'm a bit behind on the chat now. Sorry, let me catch up. You've been a massive help with some of the lore for Faran. Key domains. I'm using a Barovia, Mordor, and Starcom with a few other domains to change up horror themes to keep players going on toes. Sound good? I've not yet run Darkon, but that's going to be where the end game happens in my game. And I've run Mordant as a sort of just peaceful domain. They've kind of pit stop. They kind of go in, go to Van Richten's shop, leave again, and they've been in and out a couple of times. But I have got plans for maybe they return one time and is it Godfroy? I'm trying to remember the name of the Dark Lord. Closes the borders, and then they've got to sort him out. So it's not always going to be peaceful, kind of thing. Excuse me. But I'm glad to hear that the Fran stuff has helped. So that's cool. I'll give credit where credit is due, and I probably say this in the video. I gleaned it from the Ravenloft subreddit. So big love to the Ravenloft subreddit. When I was researching it for my game, and I saw somebody with the suggestions there of, I think they pointed me in the direction of the novel King of the Dead, and it's from there that I thought, that's how it kind of formed in my campaign, and then did the video about it. So I don't want to say that that's my idea or anything. It's give credit where credit due. I kind of got it from there. Grab some water. Running this game for the first time. Finally, love your stuff. Thank you. My group are mostly drow, so people keep mistaking them for dusk elves. Oh, that's interesting. I've seen other people talk about that. Any fun ideas, niche dusk elf extras to make the most of that? I don't know actually. I had a wood elf. I've got a wood elf still in my party. She's one of the ones who carried on with the wider Ravenloft campaign, and I was told that like the as well as drow, wood elves can look a bit similar to dusk elves. So I kind of had she was mistaken for a dusk elf at first. Um, drow, I don't know. Did you say it's all drow? Mostly drow. I don't know. Just the kind of you could just have it as the thing of I know the Vistani aren't allowed in Valaki, at least under the Baron's rule. Uh, I assume that's the same for the Duskalv. So maybe I don't know if we've reached Valaki yet. Maybe there's a bit of confusion when they reach Valaki. You know, a bit of oh, you shouldn't you guys be in the camp? And you know, your PCs if they don't know Valaki at that point would be like, what camp? We on right? I don't know what else you could do. You could potentially there's the one Dusk Elf in Argenvostholt who's rescuing. He's been injured, I think. I want to say his name is Savid, if I remember that. Maybe he mistakes them for fellow Dusk Elves or something like that. No, you probably know all the Dusk Elves there, but or you'd be confused, being like, you know, new Dusk Elves, where have you come from? You could have it as yeah, you could have it as like maybe they think they're Dusk Elves from like you know, there's more Dusk Elves out there, and then they'd find out they're actually not Dusk Elves, they're Drow from presumably the Sword Coast, the Underdark, and they'd be like, oh, that's a shame. I hope that helps. I don't feel like I've helped much there, but I hope that helps. I needed true Lovecraftian horror domain. I'm not a fan of Blurtsphere. I've never really been a fan of Blurtsphere as well, but I do like Mind Flayers. I ended up, it hasn't, I sort of semi run it so far, so we kind of visited briefly, but it hasn't come to full fruition. If you saw my Sea of Sorrows video, I changed Bluebeard to be Purplebeard. And Purplebeard is a Mind Flayer who doesn't realize he's a Mind Flayer. And so I had a whole mini dungeon ready for that, but they decided to prioritize the Shadowlands first. It's like, no, but I suppose they're going to go back there at some point. Are we really live or are we undead? We're getting philosophical. Hello, Roland. Oh my gosh, Moonbury. Good morning. Happy Sunday. For those of you who don't know, Moonbury is in Australia. So this is like 6:20 in the morning, I think. You're late here. Good morning. That's amazing. Thanks for joining. Mostly drow, including a guy. So some people thought he was Casimir. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that is cool. You could even have it maybe Casimir feels without knowing your what draw you got in the Taroka, you know, where are the items and who the ally is. Maybe he's drawn to them even if he's not the fated ally. Maybe he goes out of his way to tell him about the Amber Temple, whereas maybe another group he wouldn't. I don't know. Because of the elf connection. Hunter Strong's got a question for the greater group. What kind of roles have others used the Amber sarcophagi in their campaigns? So I've run them pretty much just how they are in the book. I did my Ravenloft Mist Hunters video recently, and that had some alternative dark gift ideas if you're interested. But some of them are quite because they're intended for lower levels, or at least the first modules I covered. So they're kind of like instead of like you get loads of spells, it's like or like you get this really powerful spell you can use 5 times. It's like you get a cantrip and resistance to a damage and things like that. So it's not as exciting maybe. But I didn't really do anything major. Oh, I did do so in my I made what's the name of the head werewolf? Is it Corel? I made him a Loop Guru from Van Richten's Guide, and I played it that he went to the Amber Temple, and there's the one vestige that's smashed, and that's how he got the power from Loop Guru, and he smashed it afterwards so no one else could claim it. So that's kind of my tweak on it. But other than that, I played them all as, you know, they are in the book. My players are right to head to the Amber Temple where the Sun Sword is located. I'm a little concerned they will find it in the first room with the statue and then leave. That's a fair concern. So let's see what the clue is there. The actual wording. Like, would they know straight away it's going to be in the head of the statue, assuming that's the one where it actually is? That Arcanoloth. My gosh. So I ended up doing a weird thing where we had to rush the ending of our campaign. My players wanted to do the Amber Temple, but I had two players move away, so we kind of rushed Castle Ravenloft and just about finished it in time. And then when we did this wider Ravenloft campaign, two of the players, it's now three, but at the time it was just two, carried on and wanted to tie up loose ends in Barovia. So I got to run like Babylon Saga after Strahd's defeat. That was interesting. And run Berez uh, after Strahd, post Strahd. And then the same with the Amber Temple as well. So my players at that point were level 11 and they walked in and the Arcana Loft, instead of doing Chain Lightning, I just did an up leveled Fireball and rolled really high in the damage dice. And I pretty much everyone's failed the save. And they had, I think it was like, I think the damage was over 40 and they had like three NPCs with them. One of whom was Casimir, and they all had like less 40 or less HP. So like all the NPCs got downed. One of my players is a really squishy low con wizard, low constitution, so doesn't have a huge amount of HP. So I think he was left with like 5 HP. And it was just panic. It was chaos. So I wouldn't be too worried. It's just a long-winded way of saying I wouldn't be too worried because even if they just go in, go to the statue, leave again, they probably have earned it because that Arcana Loth is scary if you play it like that. Amber. So it would be the one, Faceless God, end of a long winding, the treasures inside the head of the giant statue in the Amber Temple. Yeah, they're probably going to assume it's that statue. It's not anything else. But they still have to get to the statue, bearing in mind the Arcanoloths, defending it and defending the temple. They've got to, and there's the flame skulls as well to this in the corridor to the side. They've got to then get to the statue. They've got to figure out how to get in the statue. I think there's a secret door, and then get inside the statue and stuff. So it's going to be quite a challenge for them, I imagine. Keep that open in case I need it later. They are with Casimir, so he will pressure them to go further, but hoping they actually. Well, they should. Well, I think with Casimir's going to want to go get the vestige. Oh, but he hasn't gotten it. Like, it's not like the thing where he says, "I'll give you the gift. I'll give you the sun sword if you do this for me." It's I see what you mean. So they promised to go with him, and then they might just be like, "Well, we got what we need. See ya." Yeah, I'd hope that you know, if he might say something like, "I need your help, otherwise I'm gonna die," and hey, you can't leave me. I need to do this thing. Come on, I helped you. I helped you get here and stuff. So hopefully they'll be like, "Oh, fine." Would I buff the goat Sangzor? Yeah, well maybe. Like I said, when I ran it, they were level 11 and like they nearly one shot it. So I had it like he was going to charge at them, and I think it rolled low on the initiative and they rolled high and nearly killed it. So it just ran off. So it didn't even attack. So yeah, you might want to buff it. Maybe give it the max HP or something, or find like a stronger stat block. In Ravenloft, the horrors within is rumored there will be new dark gifts. Yes, I've read that as well. The new subclasses are likely from the UA horror subclasses. Yeah. So I was chatting to someone the other day. I'm assuming, I mean, maybe I say assuming, it'd be weird if it wasn't, but I'm assuming that and this might be mentioned earlier, actually, sorry if it was, but the Dampier will be the same as the one that appeared in Asterion Book of Hungers recently. It'd be a bit weird if it was like a different version, unless it's like a fine-tuned one, I guess. But yeah, that should be in there, and some of the others. I've not seen the UA versions yet. See how they turn out officially, I guess. The gift Casimir took changed to have the cost of death to the person making the pact instead of just a cosmetic appearance of death. So there was a real penalty. Yes. Oh, cool. Are you happy to elaborate on that, Moonberry? When you say cost of death? So sorry, so you mean to say that like the cost of death to the person making the pact. So see when Casimir revives Petrina, he then dies. Something like that. Because that's cool. That's heavy. I like that. Friends don't let friends dump con. I know. I've just started playing in a friend's campaign where I'm playing a wizard I'm playing an abjuration wizard. And I know there's like a war mage subclass, but he was a wizard in a war. And so I thought it was justification to give him slightly higher con. And then one of my friends is also playing a wizard. and I think has like a 0 con, and I might have like a +1 con. And they were like, "How dare you have more, a wizard with slightly more HP than the standard wizard that has very little." So, so like I've got a wizard apparently who's got slightly more HP than your average wizard. When was the last time you played as a PC in COS? Or if you haven't, would you if you got the chance? So I played as a PC in Curse of Strahd before DMing it. This was July 2018, and we wrapped up in March or April 2020. We had to play the last few sessions online because of COVID. It was a monthly game, so spread across a number of years, but I think we only played like 25, 30 sessions in the end. It was quite short. Although I say it's quite short. We had twice. In my game that I DM'd, I had twice as many sessions, but our sessions were like only like 2.5 ish hours instead of like 5. So it probably worked out about the same. But yeah, I played a human fighter and I had the worst dice. And it was in person, so well, up until the end. So I had physical dice, and I swear I had a cursed D20 that seemed to roll way more natural ones than anything else. And I didn't optimize my character very well. So I went with the variant human, where I think you get fewer skill benefits, skill points, but you get things like extra tool proficiency, extra language. So I went with all that and then didn't end up using any of that stuff. So I should have just gone with standard human. But yeah, he was a bit. It was. I look back on that and I didn't like that character, and I didn't like. I liked the campaign, obviously, to the point where I then DM'd it. But I remember at one point I was the only person who didn't have magic or a silvered or magic weapon. And then when we fought the werewolves, I was literally the only person who couldn't hurt them. So I was like, oh, this sucks. I was doing things like just trying to give the help action and grapple. And I was battle master, fighter battle master. So you can do things where you can do a reaction where you can tell someone to hit again. That was pretty cool actually. So like the person who had the sun sword, they gave it to the rogue, and I used my reaction to be like, hit Strahd again with it. So, and then he liked that. So yeah, I ended up being kind of a good support. Like even though I was a fighter and a tank, I ended up being quite a good support character. I don't know about you all, but I have several quests that lead to the Ember Temple, including character-specific ones. That's cool. Be interested to know more about those, Roland. Oh, sorry, fidgeting in my chair I am. I'm trying to think of what leads there on the module. There's obviously you get a Turoka item there in the drawer. You've got Casimir wants you to go. I'm sure there's one or two others. But I don't think actually it's one of those things I don't think many people know about it because it's supposed to be a secret, isn't it? So, but yeah, having I was gonna have so I had Aragorn tell them I was like, oh, there's a Dusk Elf here who wants people to visit some old temple or something. So just in case they didn't visit Casimir, Aragorn sort of mentioned it. And I had a warlock in my party who was evil leaning, and I was going to have it that he was going to have dreams or visions of the temple. So that was going to be ways I was going to try and hook them to go. The new Good Art gifts look like origin feats. Yes, I'd heard somebody say that. So I think I remember somebody saying that was a disappointment, like that was a bad thing, but I don't know. Moonbury, yes, correct. One C or someone else resurrects a person, then they drop dead as a doornail. Wow, that is cool. That is very cool. Yeah, I like that. Loved your recommendation in your other Fran video. I too have adjusted spells list to line up with Lich and using Skiva to tip the hand about Fran and Aslan. Cool. Yeah, there was a cool moment in I probably mentioned this in the video. When they went to the Amber Temple, they had Faran with them as well. He was the one NPC who didn't get dropped by the Arcanoloth. And they saw the Nothics, and the Nothics do the thing where they read minds. And Faran was the only one, ironically, Faran probably had the most chance to succeed, and Faran was the only one who failed. I had them all screaming in panic and hiding from him. And he just stood there like, what? Why are you all scared of me? I'm not even doing anything. And they're all terrified of him. And then I forgot that one of them could speak Nothic language. I think it's Undercommon. And I said they were just pointing at him, screaming, Lich, 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 Lich. And my players were like, what? And like, they were doing things like, is it divine sense? And being like, yeah, you're not undead. And then he was saying, oh, maybe they've seen the visions of, my son being killed by a lich. Maybe that's what they're drawn to. And then later on, when they found Exathanta and found his spell book, and Fran's looking at the spell book, being like, "These are all the spells I know." So yeah, there were quite a few cool like clues that happened that lined up, and the lich spell list. I mean, I might be running Patrina as an archmage anyway, and so I can use the sort of standard archmage spell list, but the lich spell list 2014 is really cool. Really dark spells in there, and I had it. The Ferran didn't like casting some of them. Like he didn't want to cast like I can't remember Power Word Kill. I think Power Word Kill is one of them, and he doesn't like casting You wouldn't cast Disintegrate on a person. He'd only cast it on like an object, or if you needed to escape somewhere, cast it on a wall or something to get out. Sorry, I'm rambling and missing the chat's kind of scrolling. A wizard with high HP. I know. How many humans did you get to fight? Is that in reference of my human fighter in when I was playing Curse of Strahd? Ah, I don't know. But I obviously fought everything else the module has to offer. But then obviously without magic and without magical weapons, I was probably doing half damage to things like vampire spawn and all the ones that got resistance. How many allies is too many? My party has Casimir, Esmeralda, Van Richten. Ismark was charmed in staying at the castle after dinner. I feel like someone needs to die. I need to buff Strahd. So I've had this problem. Uh, Firstly, this might be quite a controversial thing to say because the common knowledge is don't have too many NPC allies because players will get bored because they have fewer turns. My players like having lots of NPC allies, not just for survivability's sake, but they just kind of like having extra people doing extra stuff. And I have said to them, I checked with them multiple times over the years. I've said, "Are you sure about this?" Because you know, if it's just one ally, the fated ally, that's fine. If you've got like 4 or 5 players and there's one fated ally, but then like if there's more than that, but they've said no. They and then for the final battle, they were like trying to recruit more people. So they tried to recruit like Davian and Victor, even though their fated ally was Van Richten, Rictavio. And I think they were all trying to get Esmeralda along. So I was in a similar situation to you. They were trying to get loads of people. I would consider. So which one of those is the fated ally? Because what you could do is you could have, say, Esmeralda, I treat as kind of unless she's the fated ally, I treat as kind of a drop in, drop out. So she might be like, oh, you guys explore this part of the castle, I'll explore this part of the castle. Van Richten's good for support because he's got healing spells and stuff. Casimir, well, he wants to go into the crypts. So you could have people branch off. Like if you're talking about the castle, sorry, you haven't specified the castle, but I'm picturing the castle. Esmeralda's checking on one thing. Maybe she goes to look for the Heart of Sorrow. Van Richten stays with the group. Casimir tries to go to the crypts. You probably want the people to come with him, but maybe he's like, oh, maybe I've got a better chance of going on my own and sneaking in. So you might be able to do something like that without having to like kill someone. And then in terms of buffing Strahd, it depends. That's a whole other conversation about whether you do rules as written Strahd and he's phasing through walls, or if you're doing 3-phase Strahd, which is kind of buffed anyway, I think. Or, a stronger buffed Strahd anyway. Hope that helps anyway. Who is your... Excuse me a second. Pardon me. Favorite character from COS or all the modules books? So I think I've talked about this in some videos. I think Janda's probably my favorite character. And loved Vampire of the Mists. And then probably Esmeralda. So Janda's first and Esmeralda second, probably. Excuse me. Feel free to put yours in the chat as well. Not just you, Moonbury, but other people. My plans for the Amber Temple is to be a large eldritch reveal about the nature of the old ones after the party finds sarcophagi under the domains. That is cool. I'd be curious to know what other... Oh, you were talking earlier about which domains you're going to include. So you're going to include different sarcophagi in different ones. What have I included? There was one in the House of Lament. I added one to Valachan. I don't know if there were many others. There must be others. I can't draw on a blank. Oh, and why? In regards to the favorite characters, Janda. I just like. I've always been a sucker for a good vampire. Like I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Ez, I just think is cool. Cool as heck. I love her stat block. I love how versatile she is. She's strong in her attack. She's got good defense with like her AC, and she's got good spells. A good mix of like, support spells and offensive spells and stuff like that. Oh, Dr. Bowers, hello, PhD and D. Doing well. Love your channel. Thank you, sir. You too. Yeah. Wow. Because it's awesome. Thank you guys for coming tonight or this morning if you're Moonbury, or if you're in America, probably this afternoon. We got Van Richten. Van Richten. Yeah, I love Van Richten as well. I'm about to put out my Black Dice Society video, and they got some guests to play some of the NPCs. So they had this guy who came on a few times to play Strahd, and there's a guy who plays Van Richten in a couple of episodes, and he's great. If you love Van Richten, I'm sure you'll love his take on him. He does a great job. I loved Angel growing up. Yeah, cool. It's a great show on that. How much stuff from the Greater Cause lore would you say benefits a campaign? Should I Strahd be required reading for any would-be DM, or is it abridged version enough? Yeah, I'm gonna do a video about. I've teased it for a while, so I did a video about Strahd's combat tactics in the final battle, but I'm gonna do a video just kind of more generally about Strahd, about resources of Strahd, and about um like how to roleplay him and stuff like that. And then things like the dinner and maybe a couple of other things. But yes, I would actually say Strahd. I wouldn't say it's required reading, but it's recommended. I think it's just really good flavor for him. Really good. Obviously, you got to bear in mind this how he does his pact is different, and there's obviously some discrepancies because it's older law. But I do think it's really helpful to read it. Um, is the reason you're asking because you're thinking, or you think you're not sure if you want to read it? Because I would recommend it. It's a great read anyway, even if you weren't running Curse of Strahd. It's a entertaining, interesting read. And when you say abridged version, do you mean just the Tome Strahd as it appears in Curse of Strahd, just a very brief version, or do you mean like reading like a summary synopsis of it, which I guess is essentially that. Um, Favorite characters, Ferran and Victor Mordenheim. Victor's good. I want to say a spoiler for. Oh, this is difficult because if you want to read this book and I tell you the spoiler and then you know going into it that something's going to happen. Um, Hunter Strong, let me know if you've read Heir of Strahd yet or not. So, the novel that came out last year. But speaking of Ferran, yeah, Ferran's probably third favorite. So I said Jander first, as second. Ferran's probably third. Um, Yeah, I was worried that my take of Ferran was very different to what he's described in Van Richten's guide. I ended up playing him very nice. In Van Richten's guide, he's described as being quite. I think the words are arrogant and abrasive. Um, and he's kind of played like that in Black Dice Society. He appears in that as well. But I played him as just kind of nice, friendly, like a very powerful wizard. But you know, he's sort of like if Aslan or Ferran before he became Aslan was good. This is how he would have been, kind of thing. And I like playing him like that. And I did end up doing a Reddit post where if you're worried about playing him nice, the way you can justify it is Aslan will hate that because he hates the dark powers, he hates Darkon, he hates being a prisoner of his own domain. And the biggest insult when he got split into, Darklis is like a lesser lich. He's not a proper lich. I'm playing it. He's a Necrocore, which is like challenge rating 8 or something, so it's not even that strong. And the biggest insult, well, Ferran got up to more stuff, and he had spells and he could do stuff. But the most insulting thing the Dark Powers did was they made him nice. Yeah, play it like that kind of thing. So I just think by playing Ferran nice, it's like an even bigger insult to Aslan, which is as soon as I realized that, and I was like, oh, playing him nice if anything is like not only better for my players because they're more likely to want to like work with him and be friends with him and stuff rather than be like this wizard dude is rude. But yeah, it's an even bigger like screw you to like Aslan. Your channel's been a big inspiration to my current cards game. Thank you. I'm mixing a fair amount of homebrew content, old Ravenloft lore, and as written stuff. I'm interested in looking deep into the old stuff. Yeah, it's fun digging into the deep stuff, the old stuff. I didn't dig into the old stuff too much for Curse of Strahd, other than Strahd. It's more for like when I've run other Ravenloft domains, I like to dive into the older lore, and Mrpedia is great for that. It's like basically the Ravenloft wiki. Spoil it. I love spoilers. I've not read it, but spoilers only make me more excited to read it. So, Heir of Strahd is, if you've seen the cover and you know the synopsis, it's a group of adventurers drawn into Barovia and meet Strahd and go to Castle Ravenloft. But they're able to leave Barovia for a spell, but they have to go back. And they actually go to Nemoria and they meet Victor Mordenheim. So that was a spoiler I didn't want to say. But if you're, that's going to be, if you really like Victor, then I recommend reading Heir of Strahd, and I like the way that she was portrayed in that as well. I thought it was cool. Dr. Bowers, I think the best way to use Strahd is evasively. Let him face through walls and ceilings, force PCs to chase him from the catacombs all the way up the peak of the town outside to end it. I agree. I'm a big fan of Rules as Written Strahd. I can understand DMs worried their players will get bored and frustrated. I think I have the benefit of being a player with a DM who played him like that, and it's not as bad as I think DMs worry more than they need to. I think it's I imagine not having the experience of running a huge amount of different campaigns. I imagine that a lot of final bosses in different modules, different campaigns are huge tanks of hit points and hit attack after attack after attack. And I like how Strahd is different in that way. Like they're expecting it to be a battle like that, and then Strahd goes through a wall, and they're like, "Oh my god, he can go through walls!" And then it gets them thinking differently. They've got a ready action. They've got a they've got to find him. That's assuming as well as they come back. Whereas you were saying, Dr. Bowers, that he might just go up a floor, and then they've got to follow him up the floor. They might be waiting there, thinking, "Is he going to come back?" And that's great for horror because they don't know when he's going to strike. In my game, he went around. It was on the floor with a study. He went around and then attacked from a completely different direction, and then went back through a wall. And they're like, "Oh my god!" That I think it works really well. But like I say, it gets them thinking differently. Ready actions, try and grapple him, hold vampires from the holy symbol of Ravenkind. Hopefully, your players will think to do stuff like that or taunt him. And this is what I did as a player. I was my human fighter I mentioned earlier was like, "Oh, Strahd, you're so brave hiding all the time. I bet Tatiana thought you were so brave." And yeah, so like, and then I don't know if my DM, I never spoke to my DM about this, but the DM, Strahd then targeted my player, my PC, and knocked my PC out, but he stopped phasing through walls for a bit in order to do that. And then so that my fellow players' PCs were able to get hits on him and stuff. Um, Oh, I've just seen the donation come through. I've never had a donation before. Thank you, Hunter Strong. That's really thoughtful. Thank you so much. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, Dr. Bowers, I agree. I know there's some DMs. I think the luxury we have with Curse of Strahd and the community is if a DM doesn't want to run that version of Strahd, they've got three-face Strahd, they've got challenge rating 27 Strahd. There's a gazillion different stat blocks now on that have been posted on Reddit over the years. And I'm sure a DM can look through them all and be like, that's the one for me. And that's good. But I do agree that I like Rules as Written. And I have the experience of having played it as a player. And, if you're worried about players being frustrated, it is frustrating as a player, but in a good way. It's like, oh, damn, he's being smart. He's being tactical. Like all of our tactics are going out the window. That's the way I kind of see it. I see it as Fran is nice up front and always really just after an ulterior motive to get close to leaving Ravenloft. Yes. I didn't mention this in my Fran video because I didn't know it at the time, but Black Dice Society, it'll probably be my next video. I'm hoping to put it out next week. He's in that, and that's kind of how he's portrayed in that. And so if you're, it might be worth you watching how he's portrayed. He appears in a few episodes. You don't have to watch like all 60 episodes. He appears in like 3 or 4 episodes and not even in like full episodes. You could just watch segments. But he's a bit like that. He's nice, but they call him because so one of the PCs has got ties to Ferran and Azalin. And he calls himself the PC's uncle. So they call him Uncle Sus. Because they don't quite trust him. And he's nice, probably less nice than I portray him. I play him as like not super nice, but you know what I mean, like like a good friend kind of thing. Whereas he's friendly enough, but there's like something not quite right, and you can just tell that he's got some sort of he's using the PCs. He's got a goal, he's got a mission, that kind of thing. Also, on the topic of favorite Ravenloft characters, I used Alan and Arthur for one of my Eberron games once. The party really liked them. That's so cool in Eberron. Cool. I've never really thought about using like Ravenloft NPC, sorry, outside of Domains of Dread and Ravenloft. That is so cool. I'd love to know more about what you did and how they were incorporated. So my players have met Alan and Arthur. I put them in Daemon Lu. I always want to say Daemon Liu, but it's Daemon Lu. And yeah, I met them. That's when they met Jander as well. I had Jander and Damon Liu as well. My players like them as well. I've got two of my players are LGBTQ, so they like the. I obviously played the 5th edition version where he's him and Arthur and they're life partners as well as business partners. So they appreciate that. Suppose you could write an entirely new Ravenloft domain, but must base it off the work of a specific author or director. Who or which work would you go with? Oh my gosh, I don't even know. That's a heck of a question. Oh man. You see, my brain wants to like think of horror genres, but one of my favorite authors outside of horror and outside of fantasy actually is Harlan Coben, who he's got a lot of TV shows get adapted to Netflix put out like a series a year that is like adapted from his books. And years ago, about 20 years ago, one of his books was bought by a French film company. And that's one of my favorite ever movies. It's called Tell No One. Incredible film. And that's one of those, it's one of those like sort of thrillers where like nothing makes sense. Like, although like you have a million questions. And then in the end, it's kind of revealed all the pieces fit together kind of thing. I'd love to do something like that, but it's a horror campaign. But like, sorry, like a Ravenloft thing, like a Domain of Dread. Another idea would be something to do with like Attack on Titan because that's one of my favorite shows. Um, I mean, Volkovnia is similar-ish with it being zombies, and I guess the Titans in Attack on Titan are kind of like giant, mindless zombies. But yeah, doing something like that would be cool. How do you feel about the epilogue with Strahd returning despite everything? I think my players won't love that as much as an epic finale. I did a video about this. It's quite a short one. It's only about like 10 minutes. My view on it is I think that's not to say that people misinterpret the epilogue. One thing is your players never have to know. So they could go. So they kill Strahd. They go to the Sword Coast, and you never have to tell them. And when I was a player in Curse of Strahd, I didn't know. I only knew when I then bought Curse of Strahd for myself, ready to DM, and I was like, "Oh, we didn't actually kill him. That sucks." Or well, we did kill him, but he comes back. I think the whole point of the epilogue is just to suggest to DMs that this isn't the end. You can have Strahd come back, or Strahd does come back, and so you could play Strahd 2, Return to Barovia. It's that kind of thing. It's whereas in like another campaign, the BBEG is killed, and then that's it. You have to move on to something else. But I like the fact that it just hints at the idea of there's more you can do with this, and that's what I'm probably going to do. So I'm doing this Ravenloft campaign, and Azalin's the BBEG, and once they've defeated Azalin and Darkon, they're going to find out the Strahd back. And I love the idea of that. And my players might be a bit annoyed and be like, "Oh, but what was the point then? What was the point of killing him in the first place?" And I would argue as well, it's that whole they gave Barovia peace and happiness and sunlight for a few months. And so yeah, so that's kind of my view on it. I can get why people say the whole, "Oh, it makes it seem like all their efforts were for nothing." I would be if a player said that, I'd be like, "Well, no, because um you made Barovia free and peaceful for a time at least. It's just a shame it's not forever." um uh, so yeah, so in terms of where you've said won't love that as much as an epic finale when the sun comes out. It's up to you. Like you just have it that the sun does come out. Irene is reunited with. I'm trying to remember everything that happens. Irene is reunited with Sergei. They can leave. They don't necessarily have to know that Strahd does come back. And then there's some people who do the Binding of Vampire mod. I think that was Lunch Break Heroes, where Strahd is his tie with vampire is severed, and so and that's what I'm going to do the second time. So they're going to learn about that. I didn't want to do that the first time. They learn about that when Strahd returns, and then they can defeat him for good. So that it's not a case of he always returns. But I like the idea of him returning at least once. Sorry, I'm rambling and I'm behind on questions. Have you ever made a PC Strahd's consort? No. But interestingly, one of my PCs, when they had the dinner with Strahd, I did the whole thing where it's the sort of mod where it's more of a diplomatic meeting and not the trap as it is in Castle Ravenloft chapter. It says that it's a ruse to get them trapped in the castle. I did it where it was a meeting, and he said, if you do some quests for me, including finding Van Richten, finding the Keepers of the Feather, I'll let you leave Barovia. And one person was considering it. They were like, I just want to go back home. So I'm up for that. What do you guys think? And they're all looking at her like, whoa. No, that's not nice. That's not right. And yeah, so I guess she could have been a consort. But no, not had that happen. I'd be interested to know if you folks have other DMs. Hunter Strong saying, in response to the epilogue thing that Nugmaster said, that's the big pull from Ravenloft. Even House of Lament is like that, drives the horror ending home, much like Bloodborne, the game. I've heard good things about Bloodborne. Bloodborne is great. Horror inspiration for Gothic, the Eldritch Horror. A movie called The Ritual is a great folk horror movie too. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. Interestingly about Bloodborne, when I ran Folkovnia, I ended up using some battle maps that apparently were based on different Bloodborne areas. And Tovag as well when I ran Tovag. So that's quite a funny tie. But yeah, I could see like Bloodborne being good inspiration. Sorry, I've seen your other comments, like Master, saying about how you were worried about your players. Like I said, if I wouldn't tell the players. Like I didn't know. I was none the wiser as a player that Strahd came back. I think it's kind of a for DM's eyes only or DM's knowledge only kind of thing. And how unless you have Strahd come back, I think I've seen some people say that like Strahd comes back, like as they leave the mist, they turn around and see Strahd or something, and Strahd's like, "See ya," as they then go to the Sword Coast. Unless you do something like that, they wouldn't necessarily know. As a DM solo campaign, I made the support character's mother one of Strahd's. Oh, that's dark. One of Strahd's concerts. The support character's mother. Oh wow. Oh, I want to say, one of the as well as watching Black Dice Society, I was watching Dark Port Productions, but Dark is like Dark E Port Productions. The DM Angel interviewed me. Gosh, it was about a year or so ago now about Curse of Strahd stuff. And I think they did something similar where it was like a family member was a consort or something like that. No, I just remembered what it was. Yeah, spoilers for this, sorry. So they changed Irina to Irina was called Sasha and was a boy instead of a girl or woman. And it was his and Ismark's mother. So Ismark's mother and therefore Sasha's adopted mum was one of the um one of the vampires spawned in the coffin shop. So that was like whoa, dark. I love it. Perhaps you can twist it into some sort of bittersweet ending. Has anyone explored some of the smaller domains of Dread, like the Rider's Bridge or Claw? I've run a few of them. Let me just bring up the list to remind myself what's in there. And I don't know if Dr. Bowers is still here, but he's done loads of videos. He's done videos about pretty much every single domain of Dread, if memory serves, if not every single one. It's either all of them or all of them but a couple. I've run Forlorn. Forlorn was great. That's one of the little. Assuming you mean like other domains of Dread in the book where it's just a few paragraphs. Forlorn was great. I didn't really go with the 5th edition suggestion and kind of just ran it through similar to the 2nd edition module, Castles Forlorn, or at least the castle I ran like that. The domain I homebrewed a little. Gastria, which is one of the Sea of Sorrow islands, although it's got its own entry. I didn't really do anything with the Dark Lord there. I've kind of kept that for like, they might go back there in the future and then I might do something with it. It was kind of a peaceful island when they visited. Markovia, I ran that and they visited there a few times. Naranjan I ran. I used Dr. Bowers' video as his suggestion is using a Candlekeep Mysteries adventure, and that went really well. I probably ran it at a higher level than intended, but I upscaled it a bit. Riders Bridge I did. Um, Sea of Sorrows, Shadowlands I'm running at the moment, and I've done Tovag as well. So I've done quite a few of them. The Shadowlands is quite a big one, and Sea of Sorrows and Forlorn were big ones, and the rest of them were kind of like shorter ones. So like Nuanchan was a couple of sessions. Tovag was literally just like 2, 3 sessions. Yeah, the rest of them were just like much shorter, I think. Do, 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 do. Oh, you can do Calicari. Oh, that's great. Calicari has always been one I've interested in, but because I think, am I right in thinking it's a new one for fifth edition, or it's kind of adopted parts of other domains for second and third, probably maybe third edition. But it's one that because I don't think there's because it's not one that's covered heavily in old lore. Obviously, just like bits and pieces have been borrowed from it. It's one that I kind of thought, ooh, I think it'd be quite a challenge to run and quite difficult and stuff. So yeah, I'd be very interested in your take on that. Favorite non-Barovian domain? That is a really good question. It's hard because I look through the list and I think, well, I really enjoyed Volkovnia. Um, Even though, I'm not a huge fan of zombie stuff, it just went really well. Haslan I ran recently, and that was a lot of fun because of the whole magic surge stuff. And Valachan was fun as well. Trial of Hearts was fun. I borrowed a lot from Mist Hunters for that. I can't choose one. I can't choose a favorite. But Barovia probably is my favorite because Curse of Strahd is just really good. But outside of that, right, if I had to choose between Volkovnia, Valachan, it might be Valachan actually. Because I'm thinking of like the Trial of Hearts went well, but I really enjoyed they did a couple of quests before, and then teaming up with Uruk, the previous Dark Lord, to take down Chikuna. It just was really good as well. Wow, time's flown by. I can't believe we've been an hour already. For my Eberron campaign, I was planning on eventually running the Dread Metrol Adventure, which is a really cool Ravenloft module. I think I've heard of that. And I had the 2 investigating a murder in On Dare, if I pronounced that right. I'm not too familiar with Eberron, sorry. But I have heard of Dread Metrol. I'm sure someone shared that the other day on somewhere. I'm going to Google it. Ooh. Yeah, I've come across this before. Oh, yeah, Keith Baker. Yeah. Cool. I've heard Vecna Eve of Ruin has a section where they go to Barovia and fight Strahd and go through Death House years before COS starts. Have you run this or anything like it? So, no, I own Vecna Eve of Ruin, and there's some good monsters in there for Ravenloft campaign. But I've not even run traditional Death House, let alone Vecna Eve of Ruin Death House for my sins. I have seen, I use this for when I ran Tovag. There's a mod that people have done, somebody's done where it's instead of Barovia Death House in the past, it's Tovag, which is Kaz the Bloody Handed's Domain of Dread. But he's not there because obviously he's doing the Vecna Eve of Ruin stuff. Spoilers for Vecna Eve of Ruin, sorry for if anyone is playing that on the off chance and doesn't know anything about it. But yeah, so I ended up running Tovag, doing that, but with tweak. Obviously, took out the Vecna of Ruin stuff, but just kind of tweaked it to be like slotting it into a Domain of Dread domain hopping campaign. So no, sorry to answer your question, I haven't run it. But yeah, I think it's be interesting to know if other people here have. I don't know how many people here have played or run Vecna of Ruin. But I am familiar with the chapter. And then I've seen quite a few people say they want to change it. I can understand somebody wanting to change it if they run Vecna of Ruin as a sequel to Curse of Strahd and they ran Death House, because you're essentially doing Death House a second time, albeit it's different and there's, they might like the familiarity and be like, oh, we're going through it a second time, but things are different. I don't know. But, excuse me. My last party was TBK'd kinda by Azalin. Oh, no. In Curse of Strahd, set 1 year later, they will be discovering the Lemordian Watchmaker PC became Claw, the Dark Lord, after his experiment to escape undeath. Oh, cool. I'm not overly familiar with Claw. I do know about the there's a Clockmaker Dark Lord, but that's cool. I like that. Uh, Mr. Bagman. Ah, my players have a bag of holding. I should have introduced the Bagman by now, shouldn't I? More for me. Um, Well, there aren't any more questions in the chat at the moment. I'm gonna just take this as an opportunity to browse through the um, horrors within the stuff again. So, new source book detailing Ravenloft campaign setting. I might do a video at some point talking about this. I didn't want to just put out a video in a rush and say essentially what all the other news outlets are saying, but I have got thoughts on this and like what I think other DMs would want from a book. Like, I'm happy to just get a book. The way I see it, I know there are some people who are apprehensive. If there's people who didn't like Van Richten's guide, my view on it is, if it's good, great. If it's not good, no, you don't have to use it. I guess the only downside of if it's not good is if it doesn't sell well in the future, they might think, oh, we're not going to do any more Ravenloft stuff. Maybe that's the reason there's been a 5 year wait since Van Richten's guide, because that was 5 years ago. So there's nothing I was going to say then. My mind's wandered. But yeah, I think based on what I've seen over the years, I think people like another source book is interesting. Is this, and some people have said, is this going to be like a replacement of Farrington's Guide? Is it going to be an add-on? Like somebody was like, oh, what? Because there's theories that Ebonbane is one of the Dark Lords, like in the artwork. Like, is it going to give additional information that? Because obviously it was the information in Farrington's Guide was brief. Is it going to give more information about more Dark Lords that weren't covered before? And so it's kind of like a Farrington's Guide Part 2. Or is it a replacement of Farrington's Guide, or is it kind of like an addition to it? Like, will he have Dark Lords of stat blocks this time instead of just suggestions of like, I'll go with this stat block? You know, are they going to have dedicated, unique stat blocks? I wonder if what people want is not so much another source book. It depends on the DM, I guess. I mean, I would eat this up and I would love this. But I think the impression I get is I think people want another Curse of Strahd outside of Barovia. They want, imagine a Veterinary of Ruin where it's 7 or 8 chapters, but instead of being a different setting, like how Veterinary of Ruin is Ravenloft, Eberron, Dragonlance, blah, 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 is each chapter is a different domain of dread that is in Barovia. You know, one chapter in Haslan, one chapter in Valachan, one chapter in Volkovnia, etc., etc. I know we had that with Mist Hunters, but Mist Hunters was first it was very brief, even though there were sort of 14 modules. I don't know if even it all added together would equate to like a book of the size and scale of Curse of Strahd. But also it's expensive. Like the bundle is like $100, whereas you know a book would probably be half that, if not less. So I don't know. I get the impression that people are like, do we need another source book? Um, oh, it does say, hang on, source book, and then it says campaign. Oh, campaign book. Maybe it means in terms of running your own campaign, or does it mean campaign book is in something like Curse of Strahd? Uh, hmm. Feature horror theme subclasses species. Sorry if I'm telling you stuff you already know. I'm just reading off the one of the release, one of the news articles. Subclasses, species, backgrounds, dark gifts, dark gift feats, various Dark Lords in the Domains of Dread. There'll be dozens of denizens of the fearsome mists, including potential allies like Dr. Rudolph Van Richten. So dozens is interesting because the Mist Wanderers is probably like less than a dozen. So are we going to get like more and new ones? An early preview of the book revealed that the book will contain 4 new playable species. Dampier, oh yeah, Dampier, Hexbird, Lupin, Reborn. Dampier preview. Oh yeah, I was saying this earlier. Sorry, I missed this earlier when I was saying, oh, it's probably going to be a re-release of Asterian's Book of Hungers. Oh yeah, it says that here. This seems to hint that various player options released as DLC may still have future print releases. Also revealed a new investigator background option. The book also features Cthulhu. I was saying Cthulhu. It's Cthulhu, isn't it? Why I was saying it wrong there. Um, with 385 HP and a spell save DC 25. So yes, he has got his own. I can see it now in the picture. He has got his own stat block. So yes, it's will they be given all the Dark Lord stat blocks? Because I know that was probably one of the biggest criticisms from Van Richten's guide. People were disappointed that the Dark Lords didn't have their own stat blocks, and they were like, use the spy or use the knight stat block or whatever. Which I didn't mind so much because I would just adapt it. I ran for higher level players anyway, so I changed Vladeska into a blackguard, and then I used Hazlek from Haslam's recommended Archmage, but I used something that was stronger. Stuff like that, really. I like the idea that it gives you a suggestion, and I tweaked it anyway. But it is cool to have dedicated stat blocks. I see that the chat's moved along now. Sorry, I'll let me catch up. Horrors Within and Eva of Ruin are some books I need to get for more material. Van Richten's has been my favorite D&D book. Oh, that's cool. Cool to see that you liked it and got some good use out of it. I was always take more source book material for Ravenloft. See, this is what I mean. It's just like the more the merrier is the way I see it. I remember when I about a year ago, I think I did a short where somebody theorized that it was about 6 months ago. Somebody theorized that a release towards the end of the year was going to be a new Ravenloft book. It ended up being the Stranger Things release. And somebody was like, "Oh, come on, man! You've already got a Ravenloft book." But my favorite setting, which I can't remember what it was, hasn't had. It might have been Dark Sun. Hasn't had a setting book yet. So they like it's, and then that put things in perspective. Then I made me feel guilty. I was like, "Oh, that's a good point. Actually, we've got like uh 2 books now. Some people haven't got any." Watsy has personally appointed you to oversee the next Ravenloft Adventure book. It's supposed to be like Curse of Strahd, but for another domain. Dark and Cartacus or iCath, which one do you pick? Oh man, you're asking the very cool questions, very interesting questions. It has to be one of those 3. Probably Darkon, probably because it's the biggest and there's more you can do. Yeah, imagine a Curse of Strahd where it's Darkon. Darkon's bigger than Barovia. There's a lot more to it. Imagine if it was like stages where the mist creeps in. Like it starts off in the map. There's different versions of the map, and the first one is as bad. So for those who don't know, sorry, Darkon's the one where the mists, they call it the Shroud, and the mists is almost like cannibalizing the domain. Where like first version, like maybe Act 1 is the domain is almost all open and it's a sandbox and you can go wherever you want. But then Act 2, part of it being eaten away and it tells you what's changed. Oh, this settlement's gone now. And this has happened. And maybe it gets to the point where the final act is the version we've got in Van Richten's guide. Something like that would be cool, I think. I do like Cartacus as a domain though. So that'd be my backup choice. Thank you so much for doing this. I really enjoy your content. Thank you, Nugmaster. Gotta say, I really appreciate all the kind words. And I'm really lucky that like the vast, vast, vast majority of comments I've had on videos and things that have always been positive. Sorry, I'm getting soppy now. But what I mean to say is like it's easy to like not think like I'm guilty of this where like I don't say like thank you or comment and say oh good job or whatever because you just assume that the creator knows that already, but it's really nice to hear it. So thank you. Moonbury says, I love the front cover. Strahd looks amazing. Can't wait to draw my Strahd in that getup. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You should do like a Moonbury version. Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, an apocalyptic campaign. Darkon would be fun. I'd love to see a music-themed horror adventure, so I picked Cartacus. Yes, that's cool. I remember your Darkon video, Dr. Bowers, was really good. And I need to rewatch that. Thank you. You too. Keep up the good work. Yeah, Cartacus. So Mist Hunters I went through recently, and I did actually like Cartacus depicted in Mist Hunters was quite interesting, where it was like a living play and things like that. Not so much on the music side; it was more like the theatrical side of it. And I liked in Black Dice Society when they went there, and the guy who played the guest they got to play Harkin Lucas was kind of like I don't know if he's a singer on the side, but he kind of had that vibe. And sometimes when he's talking, he would just like almost like sing a lyric, and it worked. It sounds cheesy. You need to see it to appreciate it, I think. But I thought that worked well. Like I said, the Black Die. In case you didn't hear me say this earlier, the Black Die Society video is. I'm hoping to release it sometime next week. That video took a while because I had to. Well, the video didn't take a while, but watching all the episodes took a while. So it's a sort of one of those videos that's been like long overdue. And I'm kind of gutted that I didn't watch it sooner because there's, like I said, in my Ferran video, I would have mentioned, uh, Ferran is Black Tie Society is good info for Ferran and things like that. Cool. At the end of questions again, which is fine. Gives me a chance to sort of have a breather. We're over an hour. I always say that like I try and aim for an hour, but I kind of stop when it gets to the point where it feels comfortably like no one's got any more questions or whatever. Wrap up then. So could wrap up soon if anyone's got any final burning questions or any further horrors within chat. I think see if. Oh, sorry, I skipped the question. Will Azalin complain he is not in the cover again? Remember the cover of Van Richten's Guide? Yeah. Yes. Oh, is that where you open it up and it's like a. Oh, let me see if I can find the text. Where is actually like a note from Aslan complaining or something, or have I made this up? Um. Oh, there's a disclaimer, I think. Multiple places, both author and cover novel for what could have been so much more than this doubtful collection of lies and slanders. Yeah. I love Aslan as a character. He's great. I can't wait to play him. One of my, I did a thing where some they were with Ferran and some Darkless and some assassins to try and kill Ferran, and so they had to fight these different like monsters. Played it as a bit like Smoking Aces for anyone who remembers that movie. They were all like weird assassins, like working separately, very all different like personalities and quirky. And one of them was a Deathlock, I want to say Deathlock Mastermind, and I played his character very Aslan like. And when my players defeated him, they were like, "Oh, it's such a shame we had to kill that guy. He was really funny." And I was like, "Yes," because I was playing him like as a sort of like very Azalin like. So I can't wait for them to actually meet Azalin, and hopefully they'll find him funny as well as terrifying. Oh, thank you again, Hunstrong, for that. That's just so kind for the donations. Thank you. It was really thoughtful. Thank you so much. Um, I think Sea of Sorrows can be an amazing campaign too. Sea of Sorrows, that should have been in my list of who was it who asked me my favorite domain? Sea of Sorrows should have had an honorable mention as well because I played Ghosts of Saltmarsh. I don't think it's available in print anymore. But that was really helpful for just all the seafaring rules and how ships work and stuff. But that even some of like the adventures in that felt very Ravenloft. Um, I'm trying to think like one of them is you explore what they think is a haunted house, but it turns out it's like a pirate hideout. And then there's another one where I think there's like there's an aboleth, but I think the main person working for the aboleth is like this weird sort of creepy zombie, like a really powerful zombie kind of thing. So it's got like very sort of Ravenloft vibes anyway. And some of the monsters, there's some undead pirates. I think they're called the Drowned, and I had them as Pietra's crew in the CSRs, and they're great, and they're quite strong as well. And there's like 4 different versions, so you can. I had a lot of fun with like I found a start block for Pietra, and then had like 4 different kinds of them as well. It was quite cool. They're quite unique. But yeah, I really recommend the Sea of Sorrows. It's good. One last question: is your goal to do this as a career full time? I would love to. I am. I do. I have monetized the channel, so I do make some money from the ads, and I've started the membership. It's a very small amount. It's sort of pocket money. But it would. I would have to have a lot more subscribers, a lot more viewers in order to do it full time. But I wondered about the actual play. If I do that in the future, would be a separate channel. So that'd be 2 potential uh, streams. I would love to. I don't know if it would ever get to that point. I think with YouTube, people always like think, and I used to think this. I'm not saying this is like a dig at people because I used to think this. Um, but in order to like be full time a YouTube, you need to have like at least 100,000, maybe like a million subscribers. There's a guy, I can't remember his name. There's a D&D YouTuber who has over 100,000 subscribers, and he says he's not gone full time. He still has his day job. So yeah, it's I need to be a lot more videos, a lot more views, a lot more subscribers. In order to do it full time. But yeah, I'd love to do it full time. Can I ask how you watch stuff like Black Dice Society? Are you somebody who focuses on watching a show like that, or do you do on the side while surfing, doing something else? I do it while doing. I wouldn't be able to do it while, say, doing work, because I just would tune out of it completely. I do it when I do things like household chores, making and then eating lunch. So I don't watch it as a dedicated show. So I wouldn't watch it just like sat in the living room like I'd watch something on Netflix. Um, but yeah, so I kind of have it as a sort of while I'm doing other stuff. That's why it took me 6 to 9 months to watch all the episodes. Because I started in the summer of last year and I've only just finished it like a week or two ago. One last question from me. Tomorrow is my second session still in House of Lament. One of my players is about to swap from an elf monk to changeling ranger. Any ideas how to pull this off? Is that because I'm assuming that's because they. Oh no, part of this is add stakes to the horror they come to Ravenloft for other players. Trying to make a story beat off of it. Also, the changing thinks he is the elf. Folk horror cradle swap. Yeah. I was going to ask, is that because the player has decided they want to play something else? Could could the elf monk have been the changeling the whole time? Was going to be my answer, which it sounds like is what you're thinking of. Um, the only issue you've got is if they've been doing loads of ranger stuff in the first session and now, sorry, loads of monk type stuff. But I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is elf monk disappears, changeling ranger appears, or kill off the elf monk. Or you see some DMs kind of say, just don't worry about it. You know, you don't need to say kill off the monk, elf monk, or write them out. Just have it that they swapped and act like it. That was always the way. There might be some players who don't like that. It might be, I don't know. But if you wanted to sort of tie it in as, like you say, a story beat, I like the idea of like the changeling was pretending to be an elf monk, maybe, and then reveals himself. Oh, I'm actually a changeling, and I'm a ranger. Um, I hope how you can get to that point. I love how passionate you are. Thank you, Moonbury. I love how you've started your Patreon, and I love how I saw the other day like how many members you had and stuff. So congrats on that. And same to you. I hope you could like, uh, if not full time, that it kind of is a sort of side income where you can maybe do less. I don't know what you do for like a job. I know you've got a baby or two, so I don't know if you're on maternity, but I don't know what you do for your day job usually. But like if you can kind of do the art on the side with the people who are supporting you on Patreon, that's awesome. Finishing in Wave Echo Cave with my players tomorrow. Hey, lost mine of Fandalva. Then the mists will take them as they try and exit the cave. Oh, that's interesting. Super excited to start our campaign. Been using your videos for a lot of inspiration. Your videos are great. Thank you so much, Toad Smasher. Love the username, by the way. Toads may not like that name as much though. Yes, I don't know if you might have seen this in one of my videos. I ran Lost Mine of Fandalva that went into Curse of Strahd, but I had it that they finished in Wave Echo Cave, went back to Phandalin, celebrated, hooray! And then it was when they left Phandalin to go to Neverwinter that I did the creeping fog hook and the mists grabbed them and they ended up in Barovia. But I do like the idea that as soon as they leave the cave, they get grabbed. So that's interesting. So they won't get to see like Gundren and what happens to Gundren's brother if he survives. Like, sorry, spoilers for Lost Mine and Fandalva for anyone who's concerned. And Fandalva and Below the Shattered Obelisk, which is kind of Lost Mine and Fandalva plus a part two, just in case you know it by the one name and not the other. But Gundren's brother is like imprisoned in the cave, Wave Echo Cave. So like, would he go with them to Barovia? That'd be interesting. Yeah, it's cool. That's very cool. I hope you enjoyed Lost Mine as Fandalva as well. Like, I preferred Curse of Strahd, but it's good for as a starter campaign. Agreed. Love these videos. They inspire me with my own DMing and get me thinking. Thanks, Moonberry. Thank you, guys. Love you guys. You're so lovely and sweet. I just, I'm just going to keep going. Like, it's funny, right? I think I got ideas for more Curse of Strahd videos. I got ideas for more Ravenloft videos. And I was thinking to myself, oh, you know, maybe the Ravenloft well is running a little dry. And then Horrors Within got announced. And I was like, okay, they'll probably do a few videos about that when it comes out, talking about it and stuff. So, my plan is to just keep going. I've been quite busy with some other stuff in other parts of my life recently. And so I was getting to the point like last year, I pretty much did a video a week without fail. And like this year, it's like I think I only did like two in February. So I'm not doing as many videos as I would like. I'm doing fewer videos, but I am gonna keep going and just keep going until I run out of steam, run out of ideas, I guess. But no plans to stop the channel or anything, and got all the plans to keep going and stuff. I like how Twin Steel's done the emoji. That was like the first comment, and now it's kind of one of the last ones as well. I've come full circle. Hunter Strong, it would be awesome to bounce horror story concepts and ideas with you. I'm glad to have found your channel and be a part of this community now. Oh, lush. Thanks, man. Sorry, I say lush. That's a Welsh thing. I mean, as in like great. We say lush as if as if to say like great, cool. That's sweet. That's nice kind of thing. That's lush. Yeah, just drop drop comments on videos. I might do another. Yeah, Welsh say lush. Yes. Australians say sick. Yes. What was I going to say? Yes, I might do another one of these AMAs. I like doing them every like not too frequent. Like the last one was 4-ish months ago. I might do one in 3-4-ish months after what's it called has come out. Horrors Within. I actually thought an idea. I stole this idea from Matt Colville. For those of you who know Matt Colville, he did an AMA like a live stream once where Volo's Guide to Monsters came out, and he was essentially just like flicking through it and showing pictures and saying, "Hey, this is cool," and talking about it and stuff. So I might do that with horrors when Horrors Within comes out. I might do an AMA where I'm literally just talking through it and get people's thoughts when it's actually out. If you ever want extra story inspiration, I'd love to toss some horror ideas your way. Yeah, please do. If you want to do comments on videos, or my email is in my channel. If you go to my main channel page and go to the bio or the description, I think you can get my email from there. Irish say grand. Cool. I had a friend from Liverpool who said sound. Oh, maybe it's Manchester actually. No, I think it's Liverpool. No, that's sound. That's lush. That's sound. Just got free from getting the boy to bed. Oh, lush. Oh, I did it again. I didn't even mean to do that. That was just like knee jerk. Did not know you are Welsh. Cool, cool. Yeah, I'm from Cardiff. Born and bred. Cardiff's the capital of Wales, for those of you who don't know. I've lived here most of my life. I went to university in England. Lived in Leicester in the Midlands. So sort of near, I'm trying to say near Birmingham. It's probably not near Birmingham at all. My geography is terrible. But I'm trying to think of, for people who don't know, especially for those of you who are American, you might not know. Um, Obviously, you know where London is, but you might not necessarily know. Birmingham's one of the other big cities. But I think Birmingham's Midlands, and Leicester was there. And then I went to Lancaster, which was sort of like northwest, about an hour north of Manchester and Liverpool. We lived there for 3 years, or maybe it was 4 years, and then moved back to Cardiff. So yeah, I've been told I don't sound very Welsh, but I think that's a thing of being in Cardiff, because Cardiff is a big city, and if you live like outside of Cardiff, you sound more Welsh because you're like more rural, more you live in the countryside or in smaller towns or whatever. I'm finishing my 2-year-long COS campaign in the next session. I just wanted to thank you for making your content. It gave me a lot of inspiration for the campaign from Old Ravenloft. Oh, lush, thank you. And again, sorry, because I'm getting soppy. I keep wanting to say lush and like feeling all lovey-dovey. But yeah, I really appreciate that. That's really cool. I hope so if you're finishing it in the next session, I'm guessing you're doing the final battle. I hope it's going well / it goes well. Gundren already kicked it. No. poor Gundren. So there's just the one brother to deal with. I'm really trying to like immediately shift the level of Dionys, I guess. So having them enter Barovia for the first time already. Cool. Having used a bunch of their resources for the final battle with the spider, was going to have the rock seeker get separated from them and then show up again as the hang body that's in the module. That is dark, yeah. I did something similar with my players. So I oh man, this is a whole other conversation. But because my players were all new to D&D, or I thought they were. One person wasn't, but I thought he was. Um, and we were all new. They were all new to D&D Beyond character sheets, and I was new to D&D Beyond character sheets and wanted to help them as much as I can. So I created a DMPC, and I know there's a whole thing of don't do DMPCs, but I played him as very hands off. He was a cleric, so he was a healer. They didn't really have a healer. Almost playing it like tutorial mode. Like this guy will help you if you get stuck. And he was like this old halfling, and at the end of Lost Mine of Fendelver, he said, I'm going to stay here. And then they got sent into the mists. And then the hanged body was him, the old halfling. And then they were all mortified. And then when the body disappeared, because it's an illusion, they were like, oh, they would like, all thought he was still dead, which is really sad. But yeah, so I did something similar. That's cool. Cardiff, you say, have you ever met a Slitheen? What's a Slitheen? Is this some sort of reference to something? Oh, it's a Doctor Who thing. I don't know Doctor Who that well for my sins, but you guys will probably think I'm making this up. So they film a lot of Doctor Who in Cardiff, which is probably why you mentioned that, and Torchwood as well, which was the sort of offshoot show. They actually, no word of a lie, they actually filmed some of Doctor Who outside my house. I probably shouldn't say too much actually, because if you look it up, you'll actually be able to tell my address, which is, it's not a bad thing. But like, if you looked up Doctor Who filming locations, they filmed somewhere where it was, I don't want to say too much, residential streets, but I won't say anything more than that. And it's actually one of my neighbor's house was the exterior. I've got photos, so I could show this as proof so that you know I'm not lying. They closed off our street, and I actually saw David Tennant and Bernard Cribbins outside. That's given a massive clue actually, as to what the place probably is, but never mind, it's too late now. But yeah, basically saw David Tennant outside my house, which is amazing. He's probably my favorite Doctor, and I love things in like my kids like DuckTales, the reboot. And he did Scrooge, and I loved Final Space before it was removed on Netflix, and he played the villain. To the point where like, you don't even know it's his voice, because his voice is so different. Like I didn't even realize it was him. I was like, what? So I love David Tennant. Oh, and Good Omens as well. But yeah, I didn't meet him, but saw him, looked out the window, and he was there acting in the street. It was surreal. I saw the TARDIS as well. And a funny story as well, actually, because it was, oh, no, that would give away too much as well. But basically, we were told to put props outside our house if we had them, to help with the vibe. And the BBC thought our prop was one of their props and took it. So the BBC stole one of our things. It didn't matter; it was a cheap thing anyway. But it's just funny how it's kind of like, oh, great. Now I wonder if that'll then appear in like their prop department, and then appear in like another random TV show or something. What are your thoughts on third-party material like Kobold Press monsters? Oh, good question. I got an answer for that. Does it feel safe and balanced enough to use, or be cautious of balance? So I did a video all about using Tome of Beasts 1 monsters in Ravenloft. I really liked that. I was quite proud of that video. And I've used some of them in my game. I think they're balanced enough. I think it helps that like my players are high level, so they can handle most things. Funnily enough, the other day I bought Monsters of Drakenheim, and I'm going to add them to. There's an area in the Shadowlands called Turgeron Manor, which is basically like this necromancer's manor house, and they're quite gritty monsters. Like the art for some of it is really gritty, and I'm going to include some of those. I am worried reading some of them, like maybe it's a bit too tough. There's new state conditions as well, and like status. What's the word I'm looking for? Just like effects that can happen. So I am conscious of balance, but I guess I use them sparingly. I won't use them just like, I still try and use traditional monster manual monsters where I can, and other fifth edition official sources. I like to use a lot from Mordenkainen's Canaan's Tome of Foes, Volo's Monsters as well, and they got updated in Monsters of the Multiverse. So thank you to your video. It's been invaluable to me. Thank you. Going to start my second session DMing COS tomorrow. That we start in House of Lament. Yes, still figuring out how to transition to Barovia. A lot of people just have it like they walk out of the House of Lament, and then if it were me, I'd have it. And I've been thinking about this for the start of the actual play. They walk out of the House of Lament, and a mist. When they move away from it, it gets surrounded in mist and then it disappears. So it could be something as simple as that. That's the beauty of the mist and the dark powers is, you know, something, and then they can't go back in the house and, to hide, for example, if they were like, oh, we don't like this new place. I went to a Narnia set once that was filming on the Gold Coast, they had the ship and everything. That's so cool. Oh, man. I haven't watched those movies in years. I haven't seen it if you do, but do you have a video on session prepping specifically for Curse of Strahd? Things to keep track of, stuff like that. For tomorrow, I just have Village of Barovia, Serpool, and Valaki prep. No, I don't have a video of that nature, but I've got a list on my phone of I just flashed what's on my phone. Never mind. Brief picture of my kids there, I guess. But I got a list on my phone. I'm on the wrong list. I'll add that to my list of ideas as a really good topic idea. Session prepping. I'm always one of these people who over prepares. So you've got Village of Barovia, Serpool, Valaki. I imagine, depending on how long your sessions are, you might not even need to worry about Valaki. It's worth having a read at the very least. You know what's coming up just in case they blitz through things quicker. But I'm always one of these people who thinks, oh, they're going to do all of this in the session and they probably end up doing half of it. So that'll probably be one of the things I talk about is it's good to sort of read ahead and know what's coming up in the future. But, it's very easy to over prepare. They also closed off some streets in my city because The Rock was filming his movie. That's cool. Oh my gosh, we've seen the time. I'll wrap up in the next few minutes. The campaign book, Heckner by Hit Point Press, is the best third-party Ravenloft adventure for 5e, in my opinion. It's basically a circus domain. It's brilliant. I think I've seen you talk about that before in one of your videos. Yeah, I need to check that out. House of Lament gives a few ways to lead into further campaign based on the werewolves. Oh, yes, I forgot that it had that. Yeah, no, it's already got some information on how to move on afterwards, isn't it? Based on the Wereraven at the beginning of the module, all the investigator pairs you use as well, or for Ran. Cool. I'm going to see if I can quickly bring that up. Mistyping things. My issue is that I want to separate the party from the investigators, the Weathermay Foxgrove twins for me, without it feeling forced. Can the mist separate people in a group? Definitely. Yeah, I reckon they can. They do that in Black Dice Society. There's one point where one person gets waylaid. So you absolutely can. You can use that as an excuse. And it's just the nature of the mists. Like your player, I don't. Would your players think that's forced? I don't know. I don't want to say they won't, and they might, but they may not. And it's pretty standard in it's like kind of a horror trope, isn't it? People getting separated, dragged away. Maybe like the way the twins are like, stay close to us so we don't get separated, and then they get separated. That'd be quite funny. Well, not meant in like a haha, make light of it kind of thing, but just like, I don't know. You ever put the third gem in your game? Have the players found it? Oh, there's a whole thing I did with the third gem. So this is probably going to be an upcoming video soon, but I'll quickly talk about it. I had it where some people put it in like Basilica, some people put it in Heart of Sorrow, some people put it in other things. I can't remember off the top of my head. I had it that it was split in two pieces, and one piece was bigger than the other. The bigger piece was inside Davian, keeping him alive. I can't remember where I read this. Hang on, let me share. There's a Reddit link. I talk about it more here. But basically, Davian was dying, and Erwin put the piece inside him to keep him alive, but didn't tell him because he knew he'd be upset that the gem was being used in this way, and didn't want to like be like, "Oh, take it out of me," and then risk him dying. So that's why there's the tension between him and Erwin, with Erwin being in Blue Water Inn. Um, but the reason that the reason that Basilica isn't working properly, because I think it says this in the Kresk chapter, that Basilica isn't obviously working out how the abbot intended, is because it's not the full gem. It's like a shard of it, and it's not as if say the abbot had the full gem inside Basilica, Basilica would work perfectly. So it's kind of explains why Basilica's not working like a proper real lady either. That's my head. That was my head canon. And it's great then, 'cause you can say it's kind of like it's in two places. It's split into two, and there's two parts of it. And it was a really great thing when they found out that the truth, and Davian found out the truth that this gem was inside him, and that Erwin this whole time kept it a secret to protect his father. And like his father was like, "Oh, that's how they made up." It was really nice. Um, Excited for Horrors Within to drop. I imagine we'd get a few videos on the new book. Yes, I was saying that earlier. Yeah, definitely on the plan. I'm not sure if I'll do like a video soon talking about initial thoughts. I might do. We'll see. I don't want to like add to the noise and just do, because there's so many news articles about it already. But I talked about it earlier in this. If you want to, I know you joined later. If you want to watch this back at a later time, I was talking about it earlier in the video, saying my thoughts on like what I think, you know, uh, theorizing what other Ravenloft fans would want out of a new Ravenloft book. You mentioned natural player, you creating one. Yes. Talked about that earlier. I want to create one. It's just having the time, and still looking for players. I've got a few people in mind, but I want to have a wider pool just in case I approach people. Obviously need like 3, 4, 5-ish people who say yes. And at the moment I've got like 4, 5-ish people in mind, but if a few of them say no, then I've not got enough. So it's a when, not if. I want to do it. It's just I want to make sure I do it with the best foot forward, if you get me. Always can still introduce Irina and Ez to Lita Barovia. Yeah, you could do. They are two of the investigator powers in House of Lament as well. As long as they get separated from the twins, then I could probably have the Vistani from the Mysterious Visitors Hook find them in the mists and take them from there. Yeah, that's a cool idea. It's a nice tie-in. Do you personally prefer a party to start guided with Vistani, or arrive not knowing what's going on? So when I ran it, I did Creeping Fog Hook. So the latter, they didn't know what was going on. They just arrived into this land. It was cool as well because they were like walking the roads of the Sword Coast, and then it all changed. And like one of my players was like, "I've been on these roads before. Do I recognize them?" I'm like, "Nope." Does the road style look different? Yep. Do the trees look different? Yep. And then he's like, "Oh, like we're not in the Sword Coast anymore, are we?" So yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people say they don't like the creeping fog hook. I always get the words muddled because they think it's boring, but I think it's just a cool way to do it. But but then again, I like the other hooks as well. If you can do the other hooks, the Vistani, the downside of the Vistani one is I think they get taken. So it's a blessing and a curse. They get taken straight to Sir Pool encampment, so they definitely get the card reading. But that means they miss and they pass the village of Barovia. So they miss Irina and Ismark, I think. Not 100% sure. I was thinking of doing a video where I talk about the different hooks and maybe talk about other hooks as well. So if I do that, I'll do more research into that. But I think that's what happens if you use mysterious visitors. So just a warning there that they might miss Ismark and Irina, unless you give them an excuse to. One idea might be to give them an excuse to then go back to the village of Barovia. Another idea might be have Madame Eva set up a small camp outside the village of Barovia instead of Sir Pool. So that way they have the reading, then go to the village of Barovia, something like that. Oh, shoot. One other question. I can't find any around. Is there any good DM screen items themed well for a Ravenloft campaign? I think they're releasing one with Horrors Within, the new book that's coming out in June. I think there's going to be a new DM screen. Other than that, there's a DM screen in Revamped, I think. I haven't opened the box for a while, but I'm pretty sure there's a DM screen in there. I don't know if you can buy it individually. But I don't know if they made like a Ravenloft, like a Van Richten's Guide one. I don't know. Can't remember. I've got a friend doing a cos nimble conversion. I've sent him many of your videos. Oh, thank you for sending them. I don't know what you mean by nimble conversion. Is that another TTRPG? Nimble 5e conversion. Oh yeah, I see. I found it. Cool, I'll look into that. Not familiar with it. I've never heard of that one before. You're right, that's a good point. I definitely want them to go to the village first. Yeah. So oh man, unless like you have them maybe dropped off outside the village. Maybe you could even do something like, oh, the Vistani stop by the village because they need to run an errand. Maybe they need to speak to the Vistani in the inn, in the tavern, or and then that's when they meet Ismark, something like that. In fact, Black Dice Society, spoilers for Black Dice Society, they go to Barovia at one point and it plays out similar to Curse of Strahd, but they're like a higher level. And they travel with a Vistana. I can't remember the name of the guy. He's not like someone in Curse of Strahd. He's like made up especially for Black Dice Society. And he's the one who says, I gotta stop by the village and the tavern, come with me. And that's where how they meet Ismark. So yeah, you could do it like that. Did you ever talk about the gent cosmods? I don't know what you mean. Sorry, gent. Oh, do you mean gender bent? As in like gender swapping? I've got a ranger. I'll maybe come back to that. I've got a ranger player who is joining just for cause he misses Lost Mine Fandalva. He's a performing sharpshooter, and I'm thinking of having him have a limited supply of ammo for the entire campaign since I don't think there's anyone manufacturing bullets in Barovia and guns are pretty foreign by the book. Give him like crossbows backup. Maybe. I was going to say, just be, it's a cool idea to have that sort of, and it fits with the horror vibe, that kind of scarcity of ammunition. But as a player, I would be, if I got to the point where I ran out of ammunition, I think I'd be, I'd be like, this isn't fun anymore. I can't play my character properly. But you're giving them crossbow as a backup. So that could be cool. It's funny you say, it's, guns are foreign by the book. Yeah, I don't know if you know about the gun in the or musket, I think it is, in one of the crypts in Castle Ravenloft. So that's quite cool. So there is a gun in Curse of Strahd, which is quite interesting. I like the idea that it obviously means that people get like spirited away from various places, maybe even different times, to say that a musket has ended up in Strahd's possession. Nimble is a TTRPG. Yes, we're doing a KA at the moment if you're interested in getting a copy for less than usual cost. Okay. What do you mean by KAA? Sorry, I don't know your acronyms. That's probably me just not being down with the kids. Oh, KS Kickstarter. Yes, I did see that when I was looking it up. Oh, cool. That's good to know. Thank you. Oh, and you did mean gender bent as in gender swapping. Oh, you mean like female Strahd? No, I was considering doing a video about female Strahd, and I've seen some people say, like I mentioned earlier, I was talking about a Curse of Strahd actual play where they changed Irina to be Sasha, a boy, instead of a girl or woman. But no, I've not done any of that stuff. And then with Van Richten's Guide, they've done so. I don't know how familiar you are with Van Richten's Guide. If you just know Curse of Strahd, I did Vladeska, who's the Dark Lord of Folkovnia, swapped from Vlad, and Pietra, the Dark Lord of Ciatora, swapped from Peter. Trying to think who else there is. And then I didn't swap. Another one that was gender swapped was Gondgal, who is a knight who's like an enemy of Vladeska in Folkovnia. I like the dynamic of Vladeska, a woman Dark Lord versus this like old male knight who's kind of the enemy. So I purposely kept the old law version instead of using the 5th edition suggestions. So I've kind of did some and not others. I'm gonna have to wrap up in a minute, guys. More than anything, because I just need the bathroom. So not for any other exciting reason. But I'll 5 more minutes. I'll just maybe get to the end of the current questions or whatever comments and suggestions there are. There's also a pistol you can give in House of Lament as an alternative to. Oh, I don't remember that. As an alternative to one of magic missiles. That's cool. And Alnick has a gun, doesn't he? Um, well, not in his stat block because I think he just say this by stat block. But in my Alnick video, I suggest giving him a gun instead because he's got a gun in the artwork. Talk to him about it first. So yeah, if you've got player sign off, then that's even better. Talking about a couple hundred bullets. Oh, that's plenty. And I know, I imagine it's the same with bullets. With arrows, so long as you can recover them afterwards, you get half back, don't you? So if you had 50, you use 10 arrows in a battle, you get 5 back. As long as you don't like run away or something, or have to retreat. If you like defeat all the monsters and then reclaim, I'm thinking of my rogue in my game. She can then recover half the arrows back. So yeah, those hundreds of bullets will last even longer. The gun is like described as unrecognizable to anyone native to Barover, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yeah. No worries, man. I understand. With typing on your phone and trying to manage kids, I've got 2 kids of my own, so I know what it's like. This might be the last question then. What is your opinion on Vasily von Holtz? Do you like to use the alter ego? And if so, in what capacity? I've seen some say to use him and some say he doesn't make sense for Strahd to be so tricksy. It's a tricky one. I think if you can pull it off, it works well. And it can be, you hear some amazing stories of like the party falling for it, hook, line, sinker, and then realizing who he is and being like, no, how do we not know? But there's also the side of it where I can completely understand the side of it saying where it doesn't really fit Strahd's vibe. So I don't want to say I didn't do it. I used it sparingly. Because I ran Lost Mine of Fandalva first, and spoiler alert for Lost Mine of Fandalva and Shattered Obelisk, whatever it's called, there are doppelgangers in that. So you got people disguising their identity already. And the reason I didn't use Vasily much is because we'd already had that. And I didn't want everything they do to be like, this is someone in disguise or someone pretending to be someone they're not actually. But what was I going to say? Yes, I just had him. They saw him when Lady Vokta, her coup was successful, and they saw him then, and I think there might have been another time as well, but that was it. And they didn't clock that he was Strahd. And then at the end, after Strahd was defeated as part of the epilogue, I said that nobody ever saw Vasily again, and then people were realizing, hang on, didn't you look like Strahd? Dun dun dun, and that was it. So I didn't use him much, and I wouldn't say I regretted using him. I wouldn't say that I regretted not using him more. I think, given the circumstances, if I hadn't run Lost Mine of Fandalva, I probably would have considered him more. But yeah, it's a funny one. I think like it can be a mind blowing reveal and mind blowing twist if people aren't expecting it. And then people are saying, "Oh, Strahd's not like that," but Strahd used to do it in Strahd, so he disguised himself as Vasily in that. I do like the idea that the Baron thinks, "Oh, Strahd hasn't been here in centuries," and well, yes, Vasily he has as Vasily. No question, just thanks to everything you do. Love Ravenloft contact. Thank you. I know I said that was the last question, but I hate not answering a question that's left. So Twin Steel said, do they have Blitzspur in any of the 5e releases? Whoops, I've just knocked. I hope my microphone still works. Oh yeah, the light's still shining. And I'm sure you guys are telling me if you couldn't suddenly hear me anymore. Do they have Blitzspur in any of the 5e releases? The Mind Flayer, Domain of Dread. I feel like you mentioned that in a video recently. Yeah, so it's in Van Richten's guide. And I don't think it's in Mist Hunters. But yeah, it's in Van Richten's guide. So and it's one of the bigger chapters as well. One of the main domains, if you will. Like main domains being the ones that have got like multiple pages, and what I call the minor domains are the ones where it's just like a paragraph each. You were saying Scholar of the Dark Power should give you your own domain of dread. I don't know whether to be flattered or insulted. I'm joking. Definitely flattered. Thank you so much. The pistol's in a lockbox in the office room number 18 of House of Lament. Thank you. I'll double check that later. Like, no, say double check that as in like I couldn't remember it, so I'll refresh my memory. He did announce himself as a representative of Strahd in Strahd, so I may have him continue that angle, not be completely duplicitous, just mostly. Yeah. Very good. And thank you for letting me know the mic's good. Right, I can't believe we've been nearly 2 hours. That's mad. I thought we'd be like an hour and a half max. I'm gonna have to call it time now. Like I said, I need the bathroom. But thank you so much. If you want to watch this back, It will be made available. I realized I kind of accidentally flashed my phone at one point and I had a picture of my kids. Hopefully it's okay. Hopefully I won't have to delete this because of that being issues. Um, but I'll have to make that judgment call if I watch it back tomorrow. And I think we're all good. Thank you for hosting. Thank you, Moonbury. Thank you, everyone who came. Thank you for your questions. I hope it helped and hope you enjoyed. And I think I'm gonna have a glass of wine after this and unwind for a bit. And see you all soon. Thanks, folks. Oh, I didn't do the let me just check my notes. I didn't do the at the very beginning I said I was gonna do gift memberships. Um can I quickly do that? No, it's not. I'm not seeing the option, so I'm gonna have to leave that for another time. Insert ad. Do they? Oh, I can insert ads. Ah, I could have just thrown some ads at you. How foolish of me. No, it's okay. I can't find out how to do it, so we'll leave that for another time. I got a feeling I can't do it on this version of I spoke to another YouTuber recently. Said it's a mobile only thing, and I'm doing desktop, so um, I'll worry about that maybe the next time I do this. Thanks, folks. Have a good evening, day, or morning, wherever you are, and speak to you soon. Cheers. I can't find the end stream. Bye bye.